So I got to figure out why, when the most beautiful girl in 6th grade, Cindy Anderson, asked me to go with her, why couldn't I say yes? I've got to figure that out. Okay, setup. 5th grade is the first time the girls started to express an interest in me. There was the chubby girl who was really obvious about her interest in me, and so I put tacks on her chair so that when she'd sit down, she'd get a big, sharp, stinging tack, and she'd scream and she'd bleed. And then other times when she was too interested in me, I'd kick her.
Did she know that you did it?
I think so. I think other people probably saw it.
Did you get in trouble?
I'm not sure. But I do remember kicking her when she expressed too much interest. And she started crying. And she said, "One day you will understand what it is like to love someone who kicks you." I've never forgotten that.
And did that come true?
Yeah. She cursed me.
So you blame it on her?
No. Then there was like a gross girl who just kind of like played with me a little bit. Just, you know, in the sense of like flirting with me a little bit. When we were out on the grass outside of the classroom. And I was kind of shy and awkward, and I just kind of shied away, and she just kind of teased me a bit. But that was it. But then I come to America, the United States of America, California, Napa Valley. I enter school in 6th grade. I'm a little younger than most of my class because our school years don't quite mesh. And it's cool when I move to a new place, people don't know I'm a loser. Like, they can often be fooled for like days and weeks at a time that I'm a winner, that I'm cool, that I'm interesting, that I'm exciting. So I've got an Australian accent, I'm different. So I'm there at this new school, Pacific Union College Elementary School, 6th grade, and Cindy Anderson and all the cute girls use lip smacker. Like lip smacker, that's America to me. I just freaking love lip smacker. It just made their lips so shiny and glossy. And it smells so fruity. I really love the strawberry lip smacker because strawberry is my favorite flavor. I just wanted to get in there and experience that strawberry fruity lip smacker. I think there was also watermelon and there was vanilla. And they would always be like rubbing the lip smacker on their lips. And in Australia, the girls in school did not wear makeup. Like if you go to a private school in Australia, it's against the rules to wear makeup. But I come to America and the girls are wearing makeup in school. It's like, whoa. And in Australia, the girls had to wear school uniforms. So they all wore the same uniforms and no makeup. Come to America, no uniforms, there's no corporal punishment. Like in Australia, that's what I got all the time. In America, no corporal punishment, girls, no uniforms, and they wear makeup and they put on the lip smacker. And Cindy Anderson, she was tall, she looked like Kate Jackson from Charlie's Angels. She had long black hair. She was like slender, but not sickly skinny. She was perfect. She was just gorgeous. And she had personality, and she had this great smile, and she had the strawberry lip smacker. And I was just like totally mesmerized by her. Just adored her. Cindy Anderson. And 2, 3, 4 weeks into the school year, she comes by my cubicle, and we have like our desk and then these little dividers up so that we have our own little sections. And so I'm there at my desk and I can sense her coming over, and she drops a note on my desk. Like no one had dropped a note on my desk. And I opened it up, and it says, "Will you go with me?" I just adored this girl. I worshipped this girl. This girl was perfection. She was beautiful, she was smart, she was funny, she had a lovely personality, she had a great smile, and she had the lip smacker. And I was flooded in a way that I never remember being flooded. I think this was the single most exciting moment of my life. I'd never experienced anything like it, and I've never experienced anything like it since. The most beautiful girl in the class wanted me. And so I was flooded, I was immobilized, I was confused. I wasn't close enough to anyone else to ask what to do about this.
What were you confused about?
Well, I so wanted to say yes, I want to go with you. But I didn't know how, and I've got to figure out why I couldn't say yes. Because this same thing, it still afflicts me to this day. I mean, I'm able to say yes more now, but I got to understand why I couldn't say yes in 6th grade. So I'm analytical, I'm good, with my head. So I think because I had no model of romantic love, like my parents had a horrible marriage. My mother was psychotic half the month with premenstrual syndrome. So my dad was all grim duty. So I had no experience of seeing romantic love. My house was a cold, sick place.
What did you think would happen to you if you said yes?
I was just scared. It was like I so wanted to say yes. What was I scared? I was flooded. It's like when the car is flooded, it will not start. I was flooded. And I didn't know. I was scared what was out there. I remember when my dad would spank me. This may have only happened twice, but it was very intense. And he'd spank me and spank me. I'd have to drop my trousers, and he'd spank me. And he'd say, "If you cry, I'll spank you harder and twice as long." So I learned growing up not to cry. I think I probably would have started bawling if I said yes to Cindy. Like, I think I probably wanted to bawl and cry.
Because you were so touched.
Because I was so touched and so moved. I would have just become this aching, gaping Grand Canyon of emotional need if I had taken that step towards her and said, "Yes, I want to go with you."
So
that would have just come pouring out.
You got paralyzed.
I got
And
paralyzed.
there was a connection to, if you feel anything deeply, you better not, because of the father's spanking.
Yeah, and the whole ethos of my home, the self-made man, you're not supposed to express any negative emotions.
So it made you feel vulnerable, and then you
I
got shut
felt
down.
so vulnerable. I would have become so vulnerable if I'd said yes to her.
So what did you say to her?
I just teased her unmercifully for the rest of the school year.
In
I
that
just
moment,
made her
what
life
did you do?
hell. I froze, and I kind of went down that river of emotion.
But in that moment,
I was like,
you dropped the note,
it was the most. I was like,
and was she
"Well, could
standing
this
there?
be?" No, she
sitting
walked
in it?
by. She walked
Okay.
by. She dropped it and walked by. I walked out of the room. So I opened it up, and it was what I thought it could be. Because, like, why else would this girl drop a note on my desk? And it was everything that I dreamed of.
Right.
I've been interested in girls for about 2 years by this point, 2 or 3 years in my life.
So what did you do with the note?
I think I kept it. It was like an amazing token of this beautiful world that I had never tasted, didn't know. It was like a key. It was my precious. Of this like wonderful world that was out there, and I just teased her and teased her and teased her until near the end of the school year, I went and dropped a note on her desk. I said, "Will you go with me?" She wrote back, "No," with many exclamation points. I made her life a hell. I just teased her.
Did you tease her in front of people?
Yeah. Totally teased her in front of people. Teased guys who she spoke to. And I just kept doing this for the next few years. Never again did the most beautiful girl in the class ever ask me to go with her. that never happened. But we would play keep-away games in the swimming pool during summer vacation, and we all kind of paired up, and I got this kind of chubby, average-looking girl, and we tossed the ball back and forth, those boys against the girls, because it was all an excuse to touch each other. But I didn't know how to, I wasn't able to touch with affection, because I think it's because I primarily experienced touch as violence against me. I think that's why I couldn't express affection, because I'd been hit so much as a kid.
Did your mother hug you?
Yeah, I'm sure there was some, but
not a lot of memories?
my memory's probably distorted or whatever, but I just feel that my experience of touch was primarily suffering violence. I just was not comfortable. My dad was highly uncomfortable with touch. My dad hated to be touched. Hated.
What would you do?
He was so tense that his touch was very unpleasant. Like it made me shrink. And so I imitated him. And so I had the most beautiful 7th grade teacher in the world. And whenever she would touch me, which was the thing I wanted most in the world, she was just so beautiful. She was like womanly and curvy and blonde, and she'd wear sunglasses, and she was like a movie star. When she touched me, the thing I wanted more than anything in the world, I would just like this, so visceral that she would get the message and just go, oh, that's right, you don't like to be touched. But it was what I wanted most. Then when we played the game with Jeannie, who's my chubby girl, I'd tackle her like a guy, and dunk her, and I was like really hard. And then with my first love, who I couldn't kiss that first summer that we were together, this is between 10th and 11th grade, like the most visceral expression of affection that I ever did was like on 2 occasions, I think I twisted her nipples when we were in the swimming pool. And it wasn't until January 1st, 1983, when I was 1/3 of the way through my junior year in high school, and 3 months into my masturbatory journey, because that had started the first week of my junior year of high school. So I was 16. I went to a party, and I met this freshman girl. And we went up into the loft of this home, and we talked for maybe half an hour, maybe an hour, and I leaned in to kiss her, and I was going to send my tongue down her throat, but she kind of slowed me down, and she taught me how to kiss. And I think that was the first time that I was able to relax into caressing someone else. And she taught me how to kiss. She slowed me down, and then she just showed me how to glide. She had the glossy lips, and she would just glide over my top lip, and she'd glide her lips over my bottom lip, and she'd nibble on my lips a little bit, and nibble and glide, and then a little suck on my lips, and then her tongue would start to explore just the outside of my lips, and just gently underneath my lips, and then she'd send her tongue a little further in and it'd meet my tongue, and then we just the tongues would just go at it, and then she'd pull back and she'd look at me and she'd smile, and then she'd glide again and glide, and little nips and a little exploratory tongue, and that was amazing. I was so freaking high. It's finally, January 1st, 1983, a big turning point in my life. I was able to love to be physically affectionate, to be loving with another human being. And from then on, I tried to do that a lot more, and I was able to do that more. But not until that night was I able to be physically loving and just completely relax into it without any violence. But I was a terribly awkward lover with my first girlfriend. I was terribly awkward. I couldn't get it in. So this is now 22, Valentine's Day week, 1989, UCLA. My girlfriend's 4'10", I'm 6 foot, and I couldn't get it in. And I was freaking out, so I went to my drawer, I had like Vaseline. And I just like slathered the Vaseline on my condom, even though I knew it could make it break. Even though I knew that that would expose me to STDs and to making her pregnant. I had to get inside of her to be a man, to complete this like epic graduation, and I couldn't get it in. And she said, "Here, let me do this." So she laid me down on my back, and then she clambered on top of me, and she took me with her hand, and she guided me inside of her, and she had to show me what to do. And so we were together about 6 months. All sorts of things happened. 5 years later, we came back together, and we had sex, and it was great. And we're kind of breathing, and we're lying there on the pillow, and she said, "How many lovers have you had since me?" And I said, 10. And I said, "How many lovers have you had since me?" And she said, 1. And she said, "Those other girls, they taught you really well, because you used to be awkward. You used to be really awkward in bed." And so I did learn something from like all my sexcapades. Starting January 1st, 1983, with just casual kissing. Someone I only met for an hour. And didn't really have any desire to have a relationship with her. But she taught me how to kiss, she taught me how to be loving towards another human being. That I was a terribly awkward lover for a while, but after enough lovers, I think I finally managed to start letting go of what was blocking me from connecting to another human being, like in this, maybe just in this one visceral area. But that was like a step for me. That really helped me to learn to let go of my armor. Of course, it became like the primary way that I express love or try to receive love. And so then probably something got warped there, because sex was my ticket to ride. That's what made me feel whole. But I think like if I could have just said yes to Cindy Jackson back in 6th grade, all this fucked up journey wouldn't have happened. Like I would have so many like barriers between me and other people that still exist to this day. That like if I could have just like let go of those barriers that afternoon in 6th grade, if I could have said yes, how do we do this? And we could have just started talking, and I had like a deep connection with someone who cared about me and who I cared about, who I adored, and like the barriers would have come down and the tears would have flowed. And if I could have told her, I don't know anything about love, my home's a horror show. Like what if I could have like told her that in 6th grade? Told someone that in 6th grade. And I wouldn't have had to like fuck so many chicks and ride on the porn industry for 12 years, trying to understand something about sex and love. And I wouldn't have developed this like perhaps this real user tendency if I had just been able to let go of my fear of emotional collapse. I think I feared I would have emotionally collapsed if I said yes to Cindy. It was the thing that I wanted most. Like my dad totally denied having any needs. Just like denied. He was like a machine. He was like an automaton. He was just like a robot for Christ. And I guess I emulated that. And so did I want to be needless? Yeah, because that was part of my pattern. Like when I was offered ice cream on a hot day, I'd say no, even though ice cream was what I wanted more than anything. But I'd say no. I was more about like saying no to people and trying to hurt people, because I figured if I said no to them, that would hurt them. I was much more invested in hurting other people than in taking care of myself in any way. And so, I thought a lot about suicide, because I thought it was the single most hurtful thing that I could do. So there's lots, and then just like plotting vengeance, always plotting the vengeance, how I get back at my parents, people who diss me. I just always wanted to, I kind of learned that I could make other people miserable if I inflicted misery on myself. So let's say a family had taken me out for the day, when I was a kid.
Did your father act like a martyr?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you modeled it.
I just modeled my father. My father acted like a martyr. And that film, A Man for All Seasons, came out. I remember seeing that. It's about a martyr, Protestant martyrs. I was raised a Protestant. Martyrdom is like the big thing in Protestant Christianity, because the whole central story in it is that God came to earth to martyr himself to save humanity from sin. My father martyred himself to save humanity from sin. I decided that I would grow up to martyr myself to save humanity. And so there wasn't a lot of room in there for saying yes to Cindy Jackson, the hottest girl in the class, this beautiful, smart girl who asked me to go with her. I just had no model, no roadmap, no example. I guess it was just against everything that I had been raised with. And I still have to constantly fight my desire to inflict pain on other people.
Do you think it's protection? Defense?
Yeah, it's probably defense. I mean, it'll come up if I feel I'm being wounded. Generally, I'm not yearning to do it to someone else negatively.
But it's protection. It's armor.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, okay, you did that to me. Well, let me show you what I can do to you.
Okay. So what did you discover? Or anything that got clarified?
Yeah, I think I explored the most likely reasons I didn't take up Cindy Jackson on offer to go with that.
Okay. Well,
I have no idea what she's doing today. I can't find out anything.
she's with Judd Nelson. What would be helpful? What would feel good?
What you'd like to know more about and what takes you in.
Okay. There are a lot of really touching moments, and I always applaud your willingness to go as deep and explore as fully as you do, because it takes so much courage. And the moment about what if I could have told her, that was a really beautiful moment. So open it up.
I would say the same thing, that was a really great moment. And I also wonder, though, if any of us in the 6th grade would be able to, would have the container to hold that moment.
Or even the maturity.
To be honest with you, I don't know that any of us would, so I don't think you should be that hard on yourself, but it's an interesting thing. I don't know that if I was in your position that I would have taken it to the level of putting tax on somebody's chair, but I don't know that I would have been able to contain and grasp the moments. But I found it very interesting, and I saw a different side of you that was, gentle and human. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I always, when you get up there, I'm always like, you just come from such a raw place. There's no filter, it's just, you're very associated, and I love that. I love it. There's a couple things. One thing is I didn't know why you wrote the letter. Would you go with me at the end? If you had been teasing, was it out of to get back at her? Or, I don't know what. But I was just curious the reasoning behind that. I love the line. I could fool people that I wasn't a loser for a while. There's something to that.
Yeah, and I wanted to know whether that was a label given to you or if you identified yourself as a loser.
And I'd love to see you have that scene with Cindy Jackson. How would that go? You could do it, right? She was here on stage, and I'd love to see that scene.
Yeah, so would I.
Facebook.
I'm trying to find her.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I was struck by, and again, really great, broad, vulnerable, really interesting stuff. Your father, you coming from a religious upbringing, and how fucked up they made you because of that, and the lack of love. And I mean, everything stems from a lack of love. Most of our traumas, I think, stem from that. And it's heartbreaking to think of a little boy who's so, doesn't know what to do because he doesn't know. He's been only trained and programmed to have no love or not have a positive love. So it's completely understandable the journey that you've taken because of how you were raised. And that's what the great thing about the story is, that you become aware and you're actively, dealing with it, exploring it.
Yeah.
It's great.
I sometimes play with the idea of a Wayback Machine that would allow you to go to one decision that you could do, and when you were talking about, like, if I had just done this one thing differently, it would have created a totally different domino effect than what the, and I find that fascinating, that there are those pivotal moments that come and go, and only later do we look back and we're like, oh, fuck, that set me off on this whole other direction, whether that's real or not. Like that's how it feels, right? And so that makes me really curious to go even deeper into that moment and into that story, to explore that lack of not lack of capacity, because you have the capacity, but not what Marie was saying, like not being able to hold that, and it just sort of explodes out of you in these fairly disruptive ways, is really fascinating. Cool.
Okay. Great, Lynn. Thank you. And just to notice that connection of the memory about being spanked and told not to cry with the note, that parallelization, and finding the direct link to that.
Okay.
And I also wrote when you said, if I could always let go of my emotional collapse. So the fear of being annihilated by the emotions, because that's what your father taught you.